But the hours crept on with no sign of Fidel. Darkness slowly gave way to the lavish blues of the winter sky and shimmering Caribbean, exposing any arriving vessel to detection by air and sea patrols. There was still nothing to see but gentle waves lapping rhythmically on the white sands of the playa and a few small fishing boats chugging home with their evening catch. Communications technology in 1950s Cuba was closer to the 19th century's than to today's. There were few telephones in the countryside, and those were easily tapped. Postal services were erratic, many local messages were still carried by hand. The fastest international correspondence was by telegram, or, for businesses and journalists, dedicated telex machines. The last word from Fidel had been the coded telegram sent from Mexico City to Frank Pais in Santiago, Obra pedida agotada. The book you ordered is out of print. Signed, Editorial Divulgación, which announced the grandma's imminent departure on November 25th. Another message arrived at a Havana hotel switchboard to alert supporters. Make reservation. The receptionist delivered it to an M26-7 agent who was being tailed by the secret police. They chased him, but, like Maxwell Smart, he ate the telegram before capture and was released. All over the palm-fringed coastline, a thin network of farmers allied to the movement was expecting some sort of arrival, although details were kept vague. Peasants in the mountains were ready to open their barns to hide a troop or let them camp in their coffee fields. Nobody was in more turmoil than Celia Sánchez, the coordinator of the rural reception parties, who paced back and forth in a farmhouse above the coast, chain-smoking and knocking back cups of sweet coffee. A diminutive 36-year-old with black hair tied back in a severe ponytail, Celia had never met Fidel, but had worked almost non-stop for months to help usher him in secret from the beachhead. She knew this empty shore intimately, and had even offered to fly to Mexico and sail on the Grandma as guide. The idea was rejected, in part because she would have been the only woman on board. 7 a.m. passed, the point of no return, Celia knew, when the attacks were starting across the Oriente. The plan had its own momentum. She could not contact anyone to halt it. But if the Grandma was delayed, the diversions would backfire. The army would be put on high alert, placing everyone involved in danger. Celia was not used to being so powerless. All she could do was pace the farmhouse back and forth impatiently and light another cigarette. Outside Cuba, Fidel and Che are the poster boys of the guerrilla war, but on the island, Celia Sánchez is a celebrity of equal importance, the revered third figure of a revolutionary trinity. A blur of nicotine-fueled energy, she was a masterful planner whose lifetime of experience in the Oriente infused the rebellion and at many key moments kept it alive. She was backed up on the ground by two other outsized characters, the urbane charmer Frank Pais and a grizzled peasant patriarch, Crescencio Perez, both of whom might have been plucked from the pages of a Garcia Marquez novel. Without them, Fidel's entire project would have been stillborn. Celia's subversive credentials were a unique product of the 1950s, where much of the Cuban countryside drifted at a genteel old-world pace. She was the third of 6 daughters of a progressive doctor who had forsaken a lucrative practice in Havana to live among sugar workers in the sun-baked port of Pilon. She and her father became intensely close after her mother's early death. By her teenage years, Celia was arranging every detail of his life, scheduling appointments in the clinic, timing his siestas, and arranging the details of his vacations. At the same time, she was dismissed by many of her teachers as an uncontrollable tomboy who preferred fishing, hunting, and finding orchids in the forest to study. Despite her obvious intelligence, Celia refused to finish high school or attend university, preferring to stay in Pilon and help her father. Indeed, Celia's paternal devotion was described by one friend as a passion, according to her biographer Nancy Stout, whose intensity would one day be transferred to Fidel. For years her talents were channeled into good works, arranging church dinners, dances, and her annual New Year's Eve party.